Malaysia is a multicultural country where different races and ethnicities live together in peace and harmony. But despite the celebration of diversity, one community is forgotten, unwanted, and left in despair.
In this episode of The Society, with me, Farhana, we look into the lives of one of the most persecuted minority in the whole world, residing right here in Malaysia, the Rohingya refugees.
A refugee is someone who has fled their country and is unable or unwilling to return because of persecution, war, violence, or conflict. As of December 2018, Malaysia has over 100,000 refugees and asylum seekers registered with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, a refugee agency established to provide protection and assistance to the refugee community. More than 80% of the refugees residing in Malaysia are from Myanmar, with the majority of them being Rohingyas. The Rohingyas are an ethnic Muslim minority. Before August 2017, an estimated 1 million Rohingyas resided in Rakhine State, Myanmar, where they accounted for nearly a third of the population. The Rohingyas, however, are not recognized as citizens by the Myanmar government. Since the 1970s, the Myanmar government has effectively institutionalized discrimination against this ethnic group. Tensions has escalated in recent years, with the latest exodus in 2017, seeing mass killings of Rohingya civilians, looting and burning down villages, forcing them to flee to nearby countries. For many Rohingya women and children, widespread gang rapes and other forms of sexual violence are also a norm.
Bamare monti lagi bade.
Mara indra lakkena bandi, babur indra lakkena bandi. Jono, 11 বছর ধরে ইন্দলা বাই বড় জুলুম করতে দাঁড় বাম্মা বাঁধি লাকি ইন্দলা জুলুম করতে।
Fleeing from a difficult life in Myanmar, Saida has been living in Malaysia for the past 20 years.
Sana duduk banyak susah sangat. Tak boleh macam kalau ada duit pun tak boleh beli rumah, tak boleh beli lembu, tak boleh beli tanah.
Living in Malaysia, however, comes with many trials and tribulations.
Kalau pergi klinik mahal sangat, orang tak mampu nak pergi sana. Sendiri buat ubat, minum macam daun ke apa, cari di orang, lepas tu tumbuk air kasih keluar minum. Kadang-kadang orang jadi alergi, lepas tu poison semua dia orang jadi, lagi susah. Sekolah pun macam tu, ramai-ramai orang tak pergi sekolah pasal sekolah banyak mahal. Ada yang refugee punya school pun mahal juga. Saya punya adik yang cousin saya semua 12, 11, 13 kahwin dia orang. Saya ingat saya yang nasib baik, saya dapat 15 baru kahwin. Pasal kita tak ada pergi sekolah, tak ada pergi mana-mana. Bila orang cakap dia orang bukan orang sini, bila orang cakap dia orang Myanmar berumah Rohingya, ini macam masa tu saya banyak sedih, masa tu saya banyak sakit hati. Saya tanya balik diri saya, kenapa saya lahir di dunia ini? Tak ada negeri, tak ada apa-apa, tak ada dokumen. Kenapa saya lahir, saya tanya macam tu. Saya tak minta dekat sini punya IC bagi kita orang. Pasal kita punya negeri pun kita tak dapat IC. Orang punya negeri macam mana boleh dapat?
Refugees are protected by international law, specifically the 1951 Convention on Refugees and its subsequent 1967 Protocol, that grants them the right to employment, access to education, freedom of movement, and also prohibits the state from returning them to a country where they would still face the danger of persecution. Despite 145 countries being signatories to this convention, Malaysia is not, and there has been absolutely no legal framework being set up to deal with any refugee issues here.
Actually, in Malaysia, refugee is only tolerated. There is no official recognition of the term refugee. As far as immigration laws are concerned in Malaysia, refugees are generally treated as undocumented migrants, or commonly more known as illegal migrants, even though there's a problematic with that term. So they can be arrested, charged in court. Some of them do get deported.
For many refugees, the fear of being detained and possibly sent back to their country is real.
Eller tinchite yana school arabi dia gore fandastia zonore estia school dia gore goloni estia ezore viso dusha enguri aglaire motor din dojede motor garan thane bekkina ase enguri fisendra dori lori na fare enguri dharma jede dari ondila ere dukkaya anra yokotta teta hanna de ya ebosollo to yang baita tanna boda bo biara bitatun.
Having lived in a refugee camp in Bangladesh for all her life, 21-year-old Romana also feels that the grass is not greener on the other side.
So Bangladesh situation was very bad. There is not enough water, enough food, because there is a lot of people. There is not extra place to have a cook. There is no kitchen, and also there is not enough toilet. They don't let us to go out of camp. Rohingya people cannot go to Cox's Bazar. This is not your country.
As of August 2018, more than 700,000 Rohingyas have fled to Bangladesh. But with more than 1.1 million Rohingyas refugees already residing in the country, there's not much more the country could take.
Because Bangladesh situation is not good, and I thought the Myanmar situation is a little good. That's why I have come here. And after that, I can see here is not also good. Rohingya situation. There are also many difficulties Rohingya people are facing. When our country, Myanmar, will freedom, then we will go back. We will not alive for long time in Malaysia, Bangladesh, India like this. So we are not demanding anything. We are asking, we are requesting only to give us a little facility to study and move. Nothing more.
Despite the many difficulties these Rohingya women face, giving up is not a choice. Here at Rohingya Women Development Network, Sharifa became a role model for all the women in her community.
In our community, most persecuted minority group is the women and children themselves. They are the victim of rape, they are victim of torture, they are victim of many different horrors that committed by the Myanmar government, the Buddhist people in the country, the traffickers in Malaysia or in the Thailand and stuff like that. And they are the one who face the most horror. But their voices and it's not there. There are nothing helping them. So Rohingya Women Development Network is the first Rohingya women-led organization as well as the first refugee women-led organization in Malaysia. We found this organization to empower Rohingya women to bring women's voices as well as to build women leaderships.
Having lived in Malaysia for most of her life, Sharifa is determined to change the fate of her community.
Rohingyans are not educated, they are illiterate and they don't understand. The issue is they don't understand why a woman have to be educated, why child marriage is a harm for the community, why domestic violence is wrong. They don't understand. Once we have RWDN, many people have already come forward seeking for help, asking for help, saying that I think this is wrong, how can I improve myself? I've been abused, how can I avoid, how can I stand for myself? Here we always see people are coming, giving food, giving aid once and that's all. But as a community to be empowered, we need to give people skill. We need to give people education. We need to build these people up to empower them so that we become a successful people like others too.
Malaysia has time and time again condemned international conflicts that led to mass influx of refugees, but little has been done at home.
The normal mantra given not just by Malaysia but by other countries is that there's a fear of floodgates. If we recognize more refugees, then more refugees would come to Malaysia. I mean, this is not just in Malaysia, even in Europe, for example. And I think this is understandable, but I think Malaysia knows better that really this argument no longer holds valid, because refugees would still leave their country because they have no choice. If there's a war going on in Syria, they have no choice but to flee to the neighboring countries, to Europe, for example, and some of them try to come to Malaysia. So, with or without, recognition of refugees legally in Malaysia, refugees would still come. So it would be better for the government to try to make sure that there is better policies.
In 2018, the Pakatan Harapan government had promised in their political manifesto to ratify the UN Convention, signalling hope for better refugee protection here in Malaysia.
The vast majority of the world in ratifying this convention, because at least there's at least 145 countries in the world who have ratified the refugee convention. It basically makes Malaysia to commit ourselves to international standards. So who is a refugee, to provide some kind of basic rights for them and so forth. Malaysia shouldn't worry that this is too much to take on, because at the end of the day, it is something that's a shared responsibility, but it provides us, for us to progressively aspire to try to fulfill the refugee convention obligation. It's not something that's overnight. The moment you ratify, you gotta get it done within next year, for example. And I would argue that Malaysia over the last 10 years, for example, Malaysia has progressively improved on our treatment on protecting refugees, and this is something that is what is being required under the refugee convention. So Malaysia is already doing it. It's just that we have not formalized it. So if Malaysia were to be able to do that, then it's actually good for the country. Then Malaysia decides who's a refugee in accordance to international standards, and then we are able to treat them better.
They think that we are demanding citizenship in Malaysia so that we can stay here and get our rights. Actually, we don't demand that. We are only asking to recognize us as a refugee and give us basic rights where we can teach our children, get access to healthcare, and get permit to work. That's all. So we don't want to be another problem or another issue where government have to deal. We want to be a solution for the problem that we have in Malaysia for refugees. If we can work, we want to contribute back. It is in a way of contributing back to the country, right? And if we are healthy, you are healthy. If we are educated, there won't be any crime. And if our country is resolve their problem and we can return home, we will return home, inshallah. And if any other country outside, want to take us, want to resettle us, we are also ready to go. We just need a safe place with a basic human rights where we can educate and be someone so that we can contribute back to the place and the country that where we are living. That's all.
Malaysia has a history of accepting refugees, from the Vietnamese boat people to providing shelter to Syrian refugees. But more progressive action should be taken to provide better protection to this vulnerable group. Refugees have crossed international borders and risked their lives in search of safety. Don't they at least deserve basic rights and better treatment after all they've been through? This is me, Farhana. See you next time.